If you know them, you love them. If you don't know them, you will love them. Tegan and Sara are here. Here's their bio.
You know, George, as far as Canadian music goes, Tegan and Sara stand out for a lot of reasons. For one, they're identical twins. Plus, they have an unbelievably catchy sound. Not to mention a whole lot of personality.
Shut the camera.
I don't know how.
Shut them out.
All that has taken them beyond their indie rock base right into the mainstream.
Please welcome Tegan and Sara.
From late-night TV talk shows to the L Word.
Come on, Dana, come out of that closet.
To having their music featured on a bunch of your favorite TV shows. So how did it all start? Well, the twins started playing together in their hometown, Calgary. Only then they called themselves Plum. At 17, they entered a local music competition, this time as Sara and Tegan. And what do you know? They won, with the highest score in the competition's history. That led to a spot on Sarah McLachlan's Lilith Fair Music Festival, and their first album, the independently released Under Feet Like Ours. Then in 2000, they caught the eye of this guy. Well, actually, it was Neil Young's manager who signed them onto Neil's label. And out came their second CD, This Business of Art.
We decide we'll not go downtown. How about you and me, we go get wasted.
10 years later, Tegan and Sara are living at opposite ends of the country, but they're still making music together. Their new album, their sixth, is called Sainthood.
Tegan and Sara. Hello. Hi. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
All right. Thanks for coming on our show.
Thanks for having us.
Of course. What's happening? What's going on?
We're just hanging out. Tegan and I thought we'd pop by.
Yeah,
See how you were.
They're just floating around the studio, looking for Rick Mercer's autograph that stumbled across the Hour Studios.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's a great record. I really do love this record. I needed to sort of clarify this. The story kicking around is the first time you've written together for your own album?
Mm-hmm. Sarah and I started writing songs when we were 15, so we were very, we were writing about things that we couldn't talk about out loud. So when it came to songwriting, it was very, like, we would hide in our separate bedrooms, and it was only out of necessity that I would even share my songs with Sarah. I just needed her to run the ghetto blaster and press record for me so I could, do the demo. So, yeah, and we've just it's never come up. It's sort of like this awkward thing where I've known her my whole life, and then all of a sudden it was like, she called me one day and was like, do you want to try writing songs together? And I was like, ooh,
Okay, now when did that call come?
I guess it was during the summer, last, like, 2 summers ago now.
Right, so you have a career, you tour together, you play each other's songs, and you go on the road, and then had you even talked about it before writing together?
Not really. Like, I mean, we've collaborated on a lot of different levels, obviously working in the studio together. I mean, we produce each other and we collaborate.
I sign her checks.
Yeah. I mean, we do a lot of stuff together. We work in a lot of different ways together, and we collaborate on, merchandise and designs and artwork and
we've been creative before, but this was
it was the one little tiny thing that we'd never sat in a room and we'd been like, what do you think of this riff or whatever.
It was a good learning experience for us, and I think more than anything, it proved to us after 14 years of working together and 29 years of being sisters. Like, there's so much pressure on us, and I think a lot of people are always got the magnifying glass over us. Like, do we hate each other? Like, is it hard to be in a band together? There's all this focus on our relationship, and I think we're always deflecting. And I think for us, it was a huge accomplishment that we went there. Neither of us beat each other up. We didn't get arrested. We actually did complete pieces of work. And we had something to show for it at the end of a week, and I think that was huge for us.
Is there a moment? I know it's things. Usually, it's a series of events that creates an awareness. But did you have a moment where you thought, "Yeah, I don't need to prove it to you anymore"?
I was thinking this the other night because we played Massey Hall on our big Canadian tour, and we've never played Massey Hall, like, in all the years.
Massey Hall is this legendary venue in Toronto where Neil Young's most recent record came out, recorded in 1971. It's like, the Commodore, out in another part of the country, Vancouver. It's a big room.
It's a big room, and it's sort of one of those names that you hear, if you're in the music industry, certainly like a Carnegie Hall in New York or something like that. And so, and it's less about how many tickets, and it's more about the name. Like, that's what's so cool about that room. It's just so legendary. And I was really struck on stage that night how, we've been touring professionally for over 10 years, and
I was standing on stage thinking like, it wasn't so much like, oh, we proved that we could do this. It was more like I was struck by like how moved I was to be on stage with Tegan and to see all these fans, so many industry people and friends, and I think that is what changes. Like you start to just enjoy it, and it's not this competition. It's not a race anymore. It's not about. It's not the insecure artist that's enjoying life anymore and like, you know, like fighting for scraps. It's like you're just like, oh wow, I'm making music and I'm 30 and I'm playing at Massey Hall and I'm with my sister and it feels so incredible.
How intentional is the distance between the two of you and where you live? And I only say that because bands who live apart, it's very intentional usually.
Well, Sarah's lived in Montreal 8 years now, so any intentional space that was, you know, initially created by Sarah's move feels so small now. You know, I mean, this country feels small to us. You know, we're traveling all the time, and we probably spend over 200 days of the year on the road, so we get a lot of bonding time in. What are you saying? I'm just saying, like, why did you say bonding like that? Yeah, we bond, we jam, whatever you did earlier. Yeah. No, I think that when Sarah said she was going to move to Montreal, I think the only friction that came from that move was it was in the middle of a record cycle, so it was kind of inconvenient. And also, that 3-hour time zone difference sometimes can be a real pain. You know, like our whole operation is run off the West Coast. Mm-hmm. So there were times when I felt her move represented a move away from music, not from me, but from our career. And
what you mean to say is responsibility.
Yeah, I felt like the responsibility was on me now because Sarah was in Montreal, blah, 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 and I was like, hope you're having fun in your winter wonderland. So, but, snowshoeing or whatever you do. But, no, but now it doesn't.
Soaking up culture.
Yeah, exactly. Learning French. Oh, wait, no, you've been there 8 years and you haven't learned any, so.
This is bonding, what you're experiencing right now.
It doesn't matter if Neil Young signed to you, you're still sisters,
yeah,
right?
Totally. Exactly. But yeah, no, I think everyone has this image of Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen. You know, Bob Saget's our dad, and we have bunk beds, and even though we're 30, we just like love hanging out all the time. And nobody lives with their siblings except weird people. So, no, the space, I think if we didn't do what we do, we would probably live in the same city or close to each other.
Sure.
But because we do what we do,
it's nice to
have space. From everyone.
You had mentioned the pressure, that everybody puts all this pressure, and it's true, you actually have, there's a different story people tell about you from the very get-go. It's been different, and it's because of your relationship with each other, and in fact, your sisters. How you handled it changed? Were you defiant about it in the beginning?
I think we were really resistant to talk about our relationship and deconstruct it in an honest way because we felt like it was the line that it was private. Like when people were trying to always get details from us. And it was ugly sometimes. I mean, we have hilarious stories. Now it's funny to tell stories of like us beating each other up in like Econo Lodge hallways and stuff like that. And like Tegan smothering me with a parka in Kingston, Ontario once. But I just think like...
In anger?
Yeah, we used to fight all the time because we used to have to share a room and we would just have these battles. And I think
who else were we going to fight? We were 19
alone.
Years old, signed to a record deal with no support, so we had to go out alone.
Yeah,
so it was like something bad would happen, and I'd be like, I'm so angry. The only person's you. I'm gonna kill you.
I think if we were boys too, it would have been different. Like I think people would be like, oh yeah, of course you go shoot some pucks or whatever boys do, and then beat each other up.
Because that's
not true.
That's my Wednesday night.
Right.
You know?
But I think people were like, oh yeah, does it get really crazy? And of course it did. I mean, it was ugly a lot of times, but that seemed like a private thing that we didn't want to talk about. And we wanted people to focus on the music. And now that people are sort of focused on the music, there is like less pressure, and we can sort of deconstruct our relationship in a way that feels like we're not exploiting the relationship. We're being honest about the relationship, and the relationship is that we adore one another, and we've spent years, like now over a decade, making music together, and there's no one I've had a more successful collaborative relationship with. And I think there's a sense of pride in that too. Like it is hard to be around your sibling. It's hard to be around anyone. I mean, between Tegan and my hairdresser, I've never really liked anyone for like more than like 2 or 3 years. And so I feel like it's a sense of accomplishment that allows us to open up. To you, George.
Yeah, I'm fine.
To you,
I can handle it.
Yeah.
Well, now that they're getting along, we'll break them up. Sibling rivalry with Tegan and Sara after this. Who's better at lying?
We don't lie.
I don't believe you. Who has the last word in an argument?
Sarah.
Who wins more arguments between the two of you?
It never feels like winning. No. Nobody wins. Nobody wins.